Hey friends, Danny Litvin from the Ayurveda and Yoga Institute here, and I have a few questions for you. Who are you? What are your passions? How are you different from others? And how are others different from you? The science of Ayurveda provides answers to these questions through the concept of Prakriti, or innate body-mind constitution. Prakriti is something that you're born with and you'll die with. It lasts with you throughout your entire life, and it's the key to understanding how to listen to your intuition and inner voice. Through understanding your Prakriti, you're able to understand your passions, your desires, your drivers. You're able to understand how to achieve health for your body and your mind. Through understanding your Prakriti, you know your life path. You know your personal legend, you know your Dharma. And if you're living dharmically, you live a life full of satisfaction, purpose, prosperity, and ultimately bliss. But what happens way too often, especially those of us that don't have a concept of Ayurveda, is that we start to seek validation and answers outside of ourselves. It might be from when we're young. Though an inner voice said, I want to be a filmmaker. Our parents, who are well-meaning, but they're just going through the filter of their own Prakriti. They say, no, you should be a lawyer, you should be a doctor, you should be an engineer, whatever it might be. And so we deny ourselves, we deny our inner voice, and we follow what they say. We deny ourselves enough times and we cut the connection, we sever the connection to inner voice and intuition, and no longer can we connect to ourselves. And if we're disconnected to ourselves, then we get disconnected to reality. And through that disconnection, we get apathy, or pain, or anxiety, or depression. We might get physically ill, we might get mentally ill. We might start to seek validation or answers from outside sources. It might be the media. I mean, how many times have you seen this case where you have this beautiful Kapha teenager, and she starts to seek, who am I? So she looks at her role models. She looks at the actresses on TV. She looks at the models on the runway. She looks at the people on Instagram. And so she believes that to be happy, she has to look like a stick. And she begins the process of putting on shoes that will never, ever fit. And so for her, what happens? She develops an unhealthy relationship with food. She develops an unhealthy relationship with herself. She begins to despise herself. And then thus starts maybe a lifelong anxiety or depression or illness of some sort. But if we tap into Ayurveda, if we learn who we are through the language of Ayurveda, through the language of Vata, Pitta, Kapha, through the language of Prakriti, we begin to appreciate ourselves. And once we appreciate ourselves, once we know who we are able to take this language and apply it to others. We see who others are and we learn how to communicate with them, how to support them, how to push them, how to nurture them or nourish them as they need to be. We have this terrible thing, and this terrible thing is that as a species, we tend to fear what we don't understand. And what we don't understand or what we fear, we begin to hate. And how many conflicts, how many wars have been validated by saying that the other person is some kind of evil or, terrible person, some kind of monster? But that's bullshit. You and I know that. This is just another human being with his or her own Prakriti, his or her own struggles, his or her own suffering, his or her own blisses, beauties, etc. So we begin to learn, hey, everyone else has their own way. Everyone else is their own person. This is how we can communicate. This is how we can honor them. This is how we understand them. And through understanding others, we begin to love others. And if we're able to love others, then we begin to live love. And if we live love, we live a life of bliss. And that's all life is about, and that's what we want. Ultimately, that's what connects us all, is that we want to live a life of happiness. We want to end suffering, we want to end pain. So through understanding of the concept of Prakriti, we can begin our walk towards a life of bliss for ourselves, for our neighbors, for our family, for our loved ones, and for humanity as a whole. Thanks for watching, guys. To learn more about Ayurveda, keep track on our channel and we'll teach you a lot more. We'll show you a lot more about learning your Prakriti and more on the topic. Namaste and thank you.